Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church in Columbia, South Carolina, where we are part of the ELCA. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. If only we didn't have television. Now, I like and watch TV as much as anyone else, but sometimes I wonder about the things we could accomplish if our time wasn't so taken up by so much TV. We might consider someone like Leonardo da Vinci, whose interests and exploration into so many various areas is astounding. Can we attribute some of that to him not filling his time with TV? I don't know, but the question might also well be asked about Hildegard of Bingen. This week we are continuing our year-long series of focusing on women and men who led lives of extraordinary faith, and right now looking at ones who are commemorated in September. Today our focus is on Hildegard of Bingen. The word to describe her, like Leonardo, is that she was a polymath. A polymath is someone who seems to have an interest in and to have contributed meaningfully in numerous wide-ranging areas. One resource described Hildegard as active as a writer, composer, philosopher, mystic, visionary, and as a medical writer and practitioner during the High Middle Ages. She is one of the best-known composers of sacred monophony, as well as the composer of this style who is the most recorded in modern history. She has been considered by a number of scholars to be the founder of scientific natural history in Germany. That's an amazing resume for anyone, much less a woman from the Middle Ages. Now, before we go on, when I read that description, I was unfamiliar with the word monophony and had to look it up. If Hildegard was outstanding at it, I needed to know what it was. It turns out that monophony is a style of music distinguished by a melody line without harmony. Singers all sing the same melody, something like a chant, and that's monophony. Hildegard was one of the best in composing that. In fact, there are more surviving compositions from Hildegard than from any other composer of the Middle Ages, and she was one of the few who wrote both music and the words. She was born around 1098 and was reported to be rather sickly. At about age 8, she was having spiritual visions and was attached to a monastery, and in particular to a woman named Jutta. Jutta was uneducated, and eventually the two were cloistered together, where Hildegard helped Jutta recite psalms and study the Bible. From there, a community of nuns grew, dedicated to poverty, with Hildegard as their abbess. One anecdote from her life involved a controversy where a man who had been excommunicated had been buried, and the effort rose up to put him out of the cemetery. Hildegard, in mercy, advocated for him to stay. Throughout her life, Hildegard continued to have visions and wrote books of theology based on them. As we already mentioned, she wrote music, and 69 of her works survive, along with a morality play. In the monastery, she worked in the herbal garden. Along with reading in the library, she developed skills in diagnosis, prognosis, and healing of diseases, and wrote about this too. In fact, she led the way in what is today called holistic healing, that involves the whole person in the healing process through natural remedies, combining herbs and spirituality as treatments. In her spare time, she wrote 2 medical books outlining her methods. The second one had more than 300 chapters and explored the causes of disease, as well as issues of human sexuality, psychology, and physiology. Of her many theories, one focused on interrelated patterns of 4, the 4 elements they knew at the time: fire, air, water, and earth. the 4 seasons, the 4 humors, the 4 zones of the earth, and the 4 major winds. She was also a forerunner of women's rights, stating that woman may be made from man, but no man can be made without a woman. Meanwhile, she preached and wrote letters to popes and bishops expounding on her views, and more than 400 of those survive. Today she is of great interest to feminist and New Age scholars. She is also a fixture in our culture as well. Her music is continued to be performed and adapted. She is the subject of plays, has appeared as a character in movies and TV shows as well. She even has a planet named after her. I have scratched only the surface and encourage you to look her up to learn more about this amazing woman. It's a lot more worthwhile than watching TV. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.